Welcome back, Qreactin, man. Back in another video. I am kind of down right now because the Browns did lose today, so my attitude, my energy is a little bit down. But I'm still doing my reaction, man. I'm still grinding on this YouTube trend. We got more cut. Do all killers think the same? This is an older video. I think it came out 5 months ago, but I've never seen it before. This looks interesting. Like I've never, thought about this kind of video idea. So this is kind of cool to see. It's a long video. I apologize for the video. I might cut through some scenes. I don't want to have y'all watch a 40-minute video. I really don't, but we'll see what happens, y'all. Let's get into it.
I did immediately regret it in a sense where I called my mom and I apologized to her and I said, I'm so sorry, I think I killed your husband. But then there was also the sense of like, oh my gosh, I don't have to keep looking over my shoulders anymore. I don't have to live in this fear that he's gonna actually come after me.
Yeah.
It already happened.
Okay, so I wonder, like, before we get into the video, I wonder, like, if there's, like, people who are veterans, too, who, like, just kill people in war. Because I feel like that's almost different than killing people, like, in, like, just, like, it's just still killing somebody, but this is different. But it's in different, like, circumstances and situations. Like, you're out in, in Afghanistan or out in, Iran or Iraq or, somewhere else during a war. It's different than killing somebody, like, or someone just murdering someone, someone rob your house and you shoot them and kill them. It's just different type of situations, so I wonder if it's going to be, like, all kind of situations, like people who were in jail who did time for, or just, like, people who kill someone by accident. Like, a car accident happened and you hit somebody by an accident, you mean to, and, like, who knows how this is going to go, like, who knows? Like, I don't know. I want to hear everyone's story about how they kill somebody. I want to know the stories for it.
I would kill them again.
Oh my God. The first question is crazy, yo. That's crazy to ask first question.
3, 2, 1, go.
That's a wild question to have first.
Thomas Ogden was a beautiful person and he was my friend, and what happened was an accident. And
Accident, that's what I'm saying. Like, someone shot someone in an accident, it means you.
I would give anything to have him back. My name's Forrest, and I accidentally shot and killed my best friend when I was 23 years old.
Knew it.
I felt like a shattered person most of my life, and there are still shards missing.
Wow.
But I just spent the last 5 years writing a very painful memoir. It gave me an opportunity to visit a lot of past trauma. Wow. I feel in a strong space to be a support for other survivors and create positivity in the world.
All my killing has been in the time of war, so I agree with what I've done. Would I do it again? I would, because if I didn't kill that individual, they would have killed me or somebody else. I was a sniper, so I'm looking after a platoon of 20, 30 guys, sometimes as small as 6 guys. But I don't strongly agree with it because of the after effects, like what it did to me mentally. I was the first person I killed, I was 18. And I didn't stop until I was almost 25. So I don't regret
7 years is crazy.
Any of it.
I
don't have any bad feelings towards those individuals that I did kill. They were just protecting their homeland just as much as I would too. So I would do it again to save my life or somebody else's life.
I work in healthcare. What I do is I manage life support. So I'm the guy that pulls the plug on just about everybody. So I come from a very different perspective. I have to do that for babies all the way to people at the end of their lives. I've been doing this for over a dozen years now, so I'm like, okay, I've come to terms with what the job is. So, yeah.
The crime.
I didn't even think about that. That's crazy. Like being in the hospital, having to pull plugs from people, having to cut the light support off the light. That's even different to think about. That's kind of crazy, low key. Like that's wow, man. Sometimes I couldn't have just cause I just couldn't deal with that. I couldn't work in the hospital. It's just too much death, too much sickness. I understand these people also give birth in hospitals and they have life, but it's just like. It's also so much death and so much sadness in each hospital too. So I just couldn't work in a hospital just for that reason.
What happened, it was not, I didn't go out to kill this person. And now understanding the impact that the crime had, not only on me, but the family of that person. That was a human being that I killed over some drugs, right? And his children, his family is living still in the absence of this person. It was December the 24th, Christmas Eve night. Wow. Me and a couple of my friends were hanging out. This particular car came up And the passenger in the car said, hey, I want to buy some drugs from you. So I told one of my friends, I'm like, he's known to be this person that will come through the community and ask for $100 worth of drugs, but he never has the money. And the guy did exactly what I said. He knocked the drugs out of my friend's hand, grabbed his arm, and started speeding off. And my reaction at that time was I pulled out the gun and I started shooting into the car to get him to release my friend. And days later, we heard that the bullet that I shot into the car actually killed him. To that day, I will never forget December the 24th, when that happened, the day before Christmas.
I would 100% do what I had to do over again, because the guy was a serial perpetrator. He was after so many women. If he killed me, he would have went after my mom, all my family, my nieces, my nephews, every one of us, until he literally got what he wanted.
Okay, so I don't know her story, right? Okay, I can hear right now. Hold on, my fault, y'all.
I killed my attacker, Dirty John Meehan, in self-defense. I think it was really interesting how there was one person.
Like someone left her house, you gotta, self-defense, you gotta, put him down. You know what I'm saying? But in this situation, it could be two
in here who had experienced prison reform, because to me, my attacker would have been in there if I hadn't killed him in self-defense. And it's really interesting to hear about how there are people in there who are able to rehabilitate.
I immediately regretted it.
Hold on, y'all. I got a headache because my do-rag is tight as heck. Sheesh, man. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm just having an interesting day, man. It's been a long day.
3, 2, 1.
Really regret it?
Go.
I feel like I'm gonna say before they go, I'm gonna say this guy. I feel like he did that first, and the first time he did it, he pulled the plug. The first time was like, wow, like that's probably a lot. And then the guy in the army, probably the first time he did it, probably did too. Like the first time he killed somebody, people was like, that's like, oh shoot, I just picked someone off from 80 feet, right? That's crazy. And then this guy, of course, his best friend, he killed him on accident, so that makes sense. But
so Acorns is a financial tech company. So I bought everyone's gifts today with my new Acorns.
Only 2 agree. Wow. Okay.
Why do I strongly disagree? Like I said, I was a young kid. I was 18. The first guy I killed was with the 50 caliber like machine gun. I was expecting it to be like the movies where you have this like feeling of when you kill someone, and it wasn't there. I didn't really feel anything. It wasn't until like that night I had this weird dream. The guy who I shot.
The question was immediately, so not okay. So he's talking about
his arms and legs were the blades. His head was the center of the fan, and I watched him spin faster and faster until he tore apart and covered me in what he used to be, what was left of him. But no, I didn't feel anything. There was nothing like to feel. I knew that was the beginning of something that I was probably going to have to do for a while.
That's just the job, yo.
No attachment.
That's the job, man. It's just the work.
I can agree with you on that. I mean, identify with that, because my first couple of years inside of prison, I detached from it completely. When people would mention his name, I would don't see him as a human being. And that was very insensitive when I look back at it now, right? But I look and say that was a way of me coping with the situation at that time.
I did immediately regret it, in a sense, where I called my mom and I apologized to her and I said, I'm so sorry, I think I killed your husband. So there was that, but then there was also the sense of like, oh my gosh, I don't have to keep looking over my shoulders anymore. I don't have to live in this fear that he's going to actually come after me, because it already happened.
Sometimes family members don't agree with the decision, and that decision is sometimes taken away from them. We can call it every name in the book as I'm walking in there, but if they just don't agree, and then I'm like, I just have to go do this now, But it doesn't feel good, or like I'm not necessarily agreeing with it. So I'm like, I disagree. Yeah.
The level of heartbreak that I felt immediately after that gunshot was indescribable, and I don't know if any of you have saw Red before, but I actually saw Red, and it was the most horrific thing I've ever seen, experienced.
I can't really imagine what he's going through, this guy, or what he's gone through. And he said he did it. He's 23 or 24, so it's been, I'm guessing, over 20 years. So this is just sad to see. It's sad to see. I don't really have too many friends. I don't have a best friend. I couldn't imagine like killing one of my friends on accident. That's kind of crazy to think about. So I can't really say I agree. I can't feel what he's feeling, but I definitely know that would be, a tough thing to have to deal with. So it's definitely hard.
Witnessed, felt in my life. I got charged with first-degree murder that night, and I was looking at doing 35 to life here in California. I couldn't even process that. There was just so much a combination of horror and grief immediately.
I am desensitized to death. 3, 2, 1, go.
I don't think anybody can be desensitized to death. Respectfully, I don't think anyone can be, because like if your mom died, you would feel it, So I feel like her mom died, she would feel it. I don't know. I feel like
Someone agreed. Why is that?
Yeah, why is that?
I do a lot of volunteer work, and the amount of people who are dying from drug overdoses and suicides right now in the arena of
But
trauma.
I feel like again, if someone like your mom, your mother, or your child, or your father, or your sibling died, you would feel it. It wouldn't be you're just they're dead. No, it's not how that works. I don't think that's accurate. I don't think he understands. But again, maybe he does.
For me,
maybe he doesn't care
to feel anything anymore with the amount of people that we're losing that we don't have to.
I don't think. I don't know. I don't know if he thinks it as my perspective or not. But I feel like even if I did kill people, like he's in the vet or not, he is a vet. He killed people in the military, wherever he branch he was in. But bro, like even if your mother died or your sibling or child or cousin died, you would feel it. You would. But
for me, it was almost like playing God. I determined the time, place, when I'm going to take that person off this planet. And it put things into perspective for me, too, that I could be going at any certain time. Like when you have to pull it, you don't know when that card is going to be pulled. So
that's so
I've
real,
learned
bro.
to value it more and know that it's very fragile, very frail. And to not feel anything towards killing someone would probably be more devastating to me than actually taking the life. It's not feeling.
Hold on, I need to clarify something.
Yeah.
I just want to be very clear that being desensitized in no way means that I don't value life.
Oh, yeah.
It's just difficult to
manage to
feel the mourning over and
more
over again.
over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I get
like
what you're saying.
I agree with you. Like there'll be certain stories that I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened. But if someone just tells me like, oh, that person died of a heart attack, I'm just like, oh, okay. Like it just like there's no traumatic incident with that. So I'm like, my brain just disassociates, and it's like, okay, oh, they died naturally. So.
And from where I come from, like I get to know a lot of these people. If I don't get to know them, I get to know their family members like very intimately. It's not immediate, like oh, they're coming in and they're gonna go. No, it's like weeks, months. I've had
Right,
somebody
so
like
good connection.
their 5-year-old son.
Build a relationship with
he
them.
was in the room, and I'm like, I gotta take your mom away now. And it's like. After that, I'm
That's
like,
sad,
oh my
bro.
God,
That's-
I'll go call my mom or I'll go call my dad. It's
That's
like,
so
it's
sad,
really
bro.
heavy.
But actually
But I
sad.
feel like,
Listen, y'all, I've never cried in a video before. That right there kind of like got me sad for a second, bro. That actually is really sad to think about. Like taking away a kid's mother when they're 5, or taking away someone. That's really sad, man.
you said, like a
Taking
sense
away
of
someone's kid.
maximization of
Wow.
like, I don't know when my number is going to be called. Because even if I'm working in the emergency room, we've worked on somebody for 2 hours and they're like, we really can't do anything anymore. And I'm like, just like that, gone. I remember this one
Sad, bro.
patient, it was very much like
Respiratory therapist.
nobody was there. They just found him on the street. He didn't even have a wallet. He was clinically dead brain-wise, so we couldn't really do anything anymore. Me, the nurse, and the doctor just stayed in that room.
I don't know, y'all. I like his style, okay.
His heart rate left because we didn't want to see
I know
him.
that's not on topic of my fault. It's just I like his rings and his bracelet. That's tough. And the necklace. is
Leave by
cool, too.
himself. That was one of the most sobering moments too. Is like as much as it was nice for us to do that, I just don't want strangers around me, seeing me off.
I think for me as a teenager, selling drugs, just hanging in the streets, just living a lifestyle that I didn't care if I killed someone. I was very desensitized. I didn't care. I didn't feel no remorse for it. And this is part of my own personal development. I needed to find a way to attach to that. So I started doing this hospice training inside of one of the prisons. And by listening to these individuals tell their story and the regrets that they were living with in their process of transitioning, it gave me a sense of a value of life now, you know, and it shifted my mindset as this teenager who was very callous towards life at that time.
I've taken care of people, they're being on life support. They'll hang on for like a very long time till one specific person sometimes just visits them. And then I'm like, I can't explain that. I could take them off and their heart rate will keep going and going and going.
One of the guys I was working with in the prison, he wanted to see his sister. Yes. So this dude held on until like his sister walked into the room and he was like not consciously, but like she spoke to him and she started like talking to him and you started seeing him move. And then soon as she was like, I'm leaving.
It was just...
And like within minutes, this guy like transitioned.
Yeah, with my situation, I made him brain dead. And so he was in the hospital.
I made him brain dead. I feel like you could have worded that a different way. I made him brain dead. After what I did to him, he became brain dead. After what I did, after I defended myself, he became brain dead. I don't know.
Hospital. And then when they pulled the plug on him, my mom literally had to tell him it's okay to go now. And then he left.
I don't know. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know why, but I feel like she's just capping. Like, listen. I'm sorry. I know she probably did kill somebody or whatever, but that sounds like a movie, bro. That sounds like a whole entire movie. Like, respectfully, I don't know her. Again, I don't know who she. I don't know her story. I don't know like, anything about her. But that just sounded like that was straight cap. You know, that was straight cap, bro. I don't know. That sounded like a movie, bro. Like a show. Like, that was just some. That was not real. That was some fake shit. That was fiction, yo. I don't know.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're more than just our brain, right?
We're spirits living in flesh, man.
Yeah.
That's all.
I am also a victim. 3, 2, 1, go.
I feel like
I feel weird.
We're trying to single you out.
But I feel like I have to be over here because the guy came after me. I was in a parking garage. I was just trying to go to the Jason Aldean concert that night. He started attacking me, stabbing me, and I fought back and I won. So I didn't ask for any of that. I honestly hated the guy and I wished he would be dead, but I never wanted to.
In these cases, though, I feel like a victim. Oh shit, hold on.
And I wished he would be dead, but I
feel like in these two guys, their line of work was to kill people. Like to him, it was literally his job was to snipe people from 200, you know, and just put them in the ground. That's his job. And then this dude right here is just he pulls the plug. He ends life. Like, he ends life. That's what he does. These two guys, I'm surprised they're in this far over here. Like, but I guess like they're not victims if it was an accident. And this one, he just some drug guy trying to get some weed. I guess not weed, but well, who knows what they're trying to get? But
I never wanted to unalive or take someone's life.
My first couple years in prison, I saw myself as the victim, right? And that was again a way of me coping. As I continued to do some interpersonal work, I realized that I was not a victim, that I still made a choice in the crime that I committed, right? But I just wanted to share that. Like I wanted to run over there, but I'm in this place of healing and reconciliation, and I had to like move away from the victimization mindset and take ownership for the decision that I actually pulled the trigger, committed the crime unfortunately, and someone died, and I have to take that on because that's part of my own personal growth and development. I remember on a Friday night, 3 years into my incarceration, I remember laying in my bed watching this show called Dateline, and for the first time I heard a mother really expressing her loss for the loss of her loved one, and that was that moment in my life where I connected with that. I'm like, yo, I did the same thing. And I went into a fetus position and I started praying, and all I kept hearing hearing this voice saying, I have forgiven you. You have to ask Gary, the guy that you killed, to forgive you. And in that process, this is where I began. I remember saying, Gary, would you forgive me? And I literally felt like in that moment, he forgave me and I heard it. And it's almost like a weight was lifted off of me. And that's when I began this cleansing, this process of healing and moving forward and finding a purpose and finding my voice and all of that particular night inside of that prison when I surrendered to it.
No, I don't feel like I'm a victim for anything. Like I chose that path. Started off wanting to be a Navy SEAL when I was like in elementary school. My mom helped me make my first ghillie suit when I was in the 6th grade. Like it's something I've always wanted to do, and I knew it came with that, which was
part of the job.
More than likely having to kill someone, especially in the time of war.
Yeah, I'm not a victim, but the only thing I would say is like they don't really prepare us into doing the job that we do. They do the day-to-day thing. Oh, this is what you do, this is what you chart, and all that stuff. And then now you're like, oh, by the way, the doctor wrote the order. Go take him off, and now I gotta walk in, or like if it's a baby, they're still holding them in their hands and stuff, and like go take them off. And so I never really thought about it. Like nobody's like talked to me or anything. Like, by the way, this is where you're gonna feel afterwards, or like when you get home after you clock out and everything like that.
Yeah, we didn't have a handbook on that either. Like, yeah, they teach you how to kill, but there's no how to process it.
Yeah, that's wow.
I have profited from the murder. 3, 2, 1, go.
I mean, these two is how to make their money. You know, she probably feels safer now that the guy's not, trying to kill her anymore or whatever. And these two are probably just, or maybe he might say he got profited just because he learned how to cleanse himself from that lifestyle and, get better. And he's probably just say no, but who knows? Yeah, that's their money. That's their money.
Make me feel bad about it.
That's their money. These two are gonna. Okay, I guess.
That word's kind of
strong. Yeah. Blood money.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
Why don't you like that word? I don't like it either.
All right, I don't think it applies universally.
Yeah.
Right?
He speaks really well.
Homicide is a universal term. As far as profiting from any part of my story, no. I've spent the last 5 years struggling to write and publish a book, and I've spent about 80 G's on it, and
That's insane.
made about 4,000. And that's not why I did it. I did it because I want to help people, but I don't think that it's very common for people to profit off of recovery from stuff, right? Well, maybe it is. I don't know.
I guess I'll go over here then. My attacker, my show got made into a podcast called Dirty John, and then it got made into a documentary, a TV show on Bravo, and now on Netflix. And so I felt like I've been exploited in a sense because I did not make anything off of the podcast. Although people think I profited off my story, I did not.
But also, and you get paid to take his life.
No, not at all.
Okay, so if you profited off of if I profit off of anything, it's my hard work afterwards.
Yeah.
It's my hard work to share and be of service. So no, you didn't. People hate profit sometimes. They just hate you just because you made money.
Yeah.
For me, as a speaker and a trainer, I struggled with that for a long time, right? I committed this crime, and yes, I did all of the work that I have done to become the man that I am today. But then sometimes I don't sleep at night, right, knowing that I've made this bag of money or whatever. Any money I get, I want to be able to live comfortable. It's not about getting something in luxury. How could I help some young person? So we do the nonprofit work. But my 5-year goal now, or 10-year goal, is to use whatever profit I make is to create a foundation in honor of Gary. Going back to that promise I made to him almost 30 years ago inside of a prison cell.
It initially started as me writing a journal. My dad suggested I did that. I was going through a hard time, self-medicating and contemplating some bad decisions. Started off as that, and it got picked up by a major book publishing company, and it went on to become essentially like an autobiography of that time in. After accomplishing that, I went on to what I do currently, which is write, novels and stuff like that. Not based on my life, because I did feel a certain way about it, of profiting from killing, I get what you're saying too. All the work that you put in thereafter, that's on you, but I also see it as, well, I killed all these guys and I wrote a book about it. and profited from it.
Were you an E4 or E5?
E5, yeah.
That's all the money you made off it.
Right?
Once again, complex issue that gets lumped together. If somebody has money, they must be doing something for
bad,
profit.
yeah.
And I think where an answer is, I mean, do we follow purpose or do we follow the money? It's gonna go away when I die. It's not gonna
Yeah.
matter.
Often-
What's gonna matter when I die is what I did. Am I
Exactly.
proud of myself for
Yeah.
the things that I did?
I often see money more of like as an amplifier for what people can do, what reach they can do.
Yeah, what you can make impact on now, like
Yeah.
knowing like when I go speak to young people today about gun violence and about my story, the only way they can get out of a situation is if I have money.
Yeah.
Right? That I can create a safe space for them to go after school. So I have to make some money to be able to do that, you know what I mean? But I don't want to make a bunch of money and I'm living here and then I walk into the community and say, hey, young kids, put the guns down, prison, say no to prison, and then I drive away in this nice car and forget about them, right? So that's where I'm at, like, purpose for me is about how do I make impact in the lives of the people that I serve.
Taking a life was part of God's plan for me.
Wow, they bring God into this?
3,
Wow, that's
2, 1.
That's a hard. Oh my gosh, this episode is different. This episode is different, yo. This is a different episode. I didn't think this was like this is not. Oh wow, this is wow.
Go.
This episode is different. Part of God's plan. I mean, if you think your job was to be military, then that's what God.
I'm unclear with that one. That's why I'm like this.
You're on the other side.
Yeah, I wouldn't be who I am today to be able to have the experience
For
that
the
I've
military,
had
or-
and become who I've become
So
without
Navy,
taking a life.
Navy.
I learned my lesson after all the killing. You know, my last deployment dropped over 30 guys, 33 people, and who knows how many before that. But what I had to get through and overcome to stand here today far exceeded anything I've done in the military. Being emotionally somewhat strong and yeah, what I've had to overcome. There's been a lot of dark nights where didn't think I was gonna be here, you know?
Why I'm like this?
Yeah, I know what you mean though, yeah.
I don't want it to be perceived to be insensitive about the victim.
Yeah.
Right? But I know on this part of me, I look at my friends who I grew up with at 19 years old, and I did 22 years in prison, and when I came back home, they were at the same spot under the same tree we sold drugs at. But then if over here, I think about the Gold Dinger's family. Because, you know, their son is like, oh, God destined my son, my brother or my son to die. You know what I mean? So.
But if you believe in God, then that would be, he already knew that before you
I
were
get
born,
that part.
you
I
know?
mean, I'm a spiritual man, right?
yeah,
But I'm
same.
just like, it's just, that's my dilemma when it
If
comes
there's
to.
a God, I don't think that he's letting some kid be blown apart in Iraq because he's busy helping me look for a parking space. Right? I don't think that the realm of the spirit is as concerned with human affairs. I think that the sun rises and sets for a reason. It rockets through space at 40,000 miles an hour with a bunch of rocks around it for a reason, and animals have instinct for a reason, and I think human beings, it's a little different. And I think things just happen sometimes. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah. I think things do just happen sometimes based off of just how the world is. Like, I think if God would control everything that happened, like, I think doesn't, you know, I think God knows what's gonna happen, but I don't think He controls it all, because if He did, it wouldn't be real, it wouldn't be authentic. Like, if He could just control everything I did, it wouldn't be me, it would just be God. So I wouldn't even be like, I would not be Q, you know. So it wouldn't make any sense. So I get what he's saying in that sense. And people die, and so that's just happens because you know, sin in the world is sinful, it's fallen. So people, you know, are gonna die. It's gonna happen. It's part of how it is on planet Earth. That's just how it is. We live in a sinful, you know, world. So it's
Meaning or a plan.
But then it's hard for a person who lost a loved one to wrap that. For me, my homicide is completely different than most of you in this room. Is someone died by me pulling this trigger, and I can't say it was in God's plan.
I pulled the trigger too.
Yeah.
I thought the gun was empty. And I still can't wrap my head around a stupid decision like that. Even though that it malfunctioned and acted unloaded, had I done all the right things, the 4 safety rules, it never would have happened. And I was nervous.
I wonder how she feels being the only woman
because
in
I don't know what I was thinking. I wasn't thinking. And I had no intent at all. There's no way I would have as soon put it to my head. or the floor or whatever. And I can't remember ever doing that before or after. And it was a mistake.
I think for me, it was part of my dharma. I'm a little bit more spiritual, so I think it was my life's purpose, to be honest. Because of what I do today, whenever I speak, I always have people contact me and say that they left an abusive relationship, or what I shared helped them get out of their attack.
Sharing your story helps other people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
That makes
feel
sense.
that,
I call it transparency transports people.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like really honest about who I am, because there's someone else, not just in a physical prison, but an emotional, mental prison. And by hearing your story, hearing all of our stories, it helps transport them to another space of showing that I can't escape this particular prison.
After having this discussion, Lester, choose a side.
Really?
Can't make you.
This
I'm
is an old
just gonna say, I don't think it's fair to make you choose a side. You believe what you believe.
I'm gonna stand just a little bit over here. Please, like respectful.
I really like what you did, man, because we move in seconds and inches.
Yeah.
We measure progress in like
Yeah, I'm
miles
right
and
here.
years, you know?
This group right here, it seems like they have a very intelligent this is a very intelligent group of people right here, and they're all from different parts. It's crazy. They got different stories. It's just different. I love this. This is a great video, bro. This is right now. This right here is one of my favorite videos I've ever like reacted to. This is it just seems really like real, like real life. This is real. This is real, and I love real stuff. This is amazing to watch. I love it.
There are enough resources for me to heal. 3, 2, 1, go.
Interesting question or statement, I guess.
when I was in the military, it was like looked down upon to go seek mental help or anything. Dude, you'd get kicked off the team, you know, in a heartbeat. I don't want a guy who's soft watching my back, you know, or what I perceived at the time to be soft. Yeah. After each deployment, our therapist was like a 18-wheeler truck full of kegs of beer and more beer. And 12 hours ago, I just took a life, 21 years old, at a strip club in Atlanta, drinking, you know, till my eyes pop out to cope. We would talk to like a psychiatrist, but we were encouraged to write down, you know, I didn't have this emotion, I didn't see this, so we could get home early to see our family. But 2 or 3 years ago, I decided to actually talk to someone and figure out why I was the way I was, because I wanted to change. I didn't like being, everywhere I went, you know, I'm looking at everyone and it's gonna sound so bad, but I was polite to everybody who I met, but I always in the back of my mind had a plan to kill them, just in case the situation presented itself. If something went south, I've already mapped out and planned for.
I feel like that's, like, again, but for a sniper, I feel like that actually makes sense, because like if you get trained, like these are trained professionals of how to like kill people. Like you walk into a building, you already know, like, okay, boom, 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 exits. You know, good vantage point. Like, it's just it makes sense. It sounds bad, but if you think about it, in his job, in his line of work, when he was in the Navy, I'm not sure he's in the Navy now or not, but if he's done, but that sounds like acting. Like you would see people when you would just first thing off of training and how you used to work, like it's the first thing you just notice. It's like, okay, this is how, you know, like, this makes sense.
3 different scenarios, how it would kill
it
this
just makes
person.
sense.
And I was comfortable being in that state of mind because it kept that protection, you know, that wall up. But it gets tiring after a while to always be that way. You know,
for me, I look at this,
It's really
right?
stressful
I
for
want to
sure.
run over here to the strongly disagree. It's almost because of the length of your sentence, and you, like I was serving life, I didn't become eligible for most of the classes in prison until I came down to my last 3 years in prison, right? Now I have to run back over here to strongly agree. After being a person who's been released from prison, I've learned these different things that now help me to cope with all of the stuff that comes with me living inside of a prison, not only being a person who took someone's life, but seeing other individuals get killed inside of the prison. right? You see people get stabbed in prison over some of the simplest things. No one would come and talk to you about, like, was that triggering for you? Wow. How did you saw this person blood spill out over the concrete, nothing, right? This is why I challenge the prison system and anyone who works in that prison environment to create more mental health services for those in prison, because yes, that person may have committed a violent crime, but we don't know their story.
I'm like that with the military, man.
Yeah.
There's not enough, in my opinion.
The
It's
VA
not encouraged enough, yeah.
The VA helped me somewhat, right? I'm not going to say the VA didn't help. But when I was suicidal, I didn't call the VA helpline because I didn't want to sit here and fill out a strongly agree and disagree form and wait in a waiting room. And I called another brother, and he sent me to a program called Save a Warrior, and I experienced something, it might sound weird, called initiation there. The participant faces their own death, and they receive a transitional object. And something about that changed my psyche, and something clicked. And we did stuff like the ceremony for the dead there, where we write the names of the people we've lost and the people we've killed, and we get to cry and like feel and process and become human again, because war can break us, and prison can break us and make us incomplete and not human. And when we use different modalities to place that humanity back together, then we can have community, right? And community is the antidote to a lot of human suffering.
Yes.
I wrote a 12-step program for vets and first responders called SPARTA, Suicide Prevention and Resilience Training Anonymous. We meet once a week. And I used to think there wasn't enough resources, and the more I get involved, it's not that the help isn't needed, it's that there's abundant ability to create resources, right? And once we break that, we start to be the creator of it, we create the small nonprofit that serves the area. It's like the Matrix fails, you know?
Yeah.
That was long, sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Well, I have to apologize for like chuckling when you said that part, because I was like, oh wait, I have a plan to kill people too, unfortunately. And then I used humor as my trauma response sometimes. So I strongly agree that I have the resources and the tools I need, because I'm gonna forever be on my healing journey, and I'm always gonna look for them and find them. However,
I also feel like, though, before she continues, I feel like too, like everyone's journey is different. Everyone has different tools and needs different tools to heal. So like one person may have tools that are available to them, and that's good for them, and it may heal them, which is good. But other people might not use the same tools. Like for me, I don't like therapy. I just don't like therapy. I just don't like talking to people, talking to a stranger about things. I just don't like that. But some people work. It works for some people. Some people like it. So. You know, it just depends on who you are as a person, you know, it really depends.
Talk therapy, I don't think is very beneficial to a lot of people. I think that a lot of therapists need to learn about the nervous system, because a lot of what we went through, we had to use our fight response. So I have to learn how to calm my nervous system to get to homeostasis, to the baseline.
Like as a person of color, it's like growing up, like as an immigrant, it's more like it is what it is. When you like things happen, it's like you don't really like, oh yeah, go see your therapist or anything like that. Especially working through the pandemic, I have never seen like that much death. In my whole life, and I've been doing this for at the time like 10 years.
And
this was before the vaccine.
COVID was, oh my gosh, so many people died. It was unacceptable.
Tunnel yet. For me to quit the job would mean other people would die. And for me to continue this job, meaning I would die. And then that was the first time I'm like, I really don't know what to do right here. And that's the first time I'm like, wait, there's this thing called therapist. Maybe I should go talk to one. I wish it was more readily available and accepted at the same time, because none of my friends go and see their therapist, and I can completely tell them, like, you wouldn't have certain amount of issues if you just kind of worked on yourself in a different way. Or maybe not therapist, but like a different way, you know what I mean?
Different ways.
Like coaching.
Right here too, again, I want to run over here, right? Went in prison at 19, walked out, I was 41, into a completely different world, right?
Wow.
So now, like my organization.
You've been there longer than I've been alive, bro. That's insane.
Path of redemption is that I want to provide that service. Like, how do you cope with when you walk into a grocery store?
You went in there my age, bro.
You walk in the self-service line, you got to swipe that card, and you don't know how. Or you walk through a line and it beeps, right? And you thinking that is going to be tackled by the police because they think you're stealing something, right? And this is why, like, you and I, individuals, can create that.
You're gonna be made.
I'm running over.
All right, so there is not by any means enough space to talk about, like, I was a foster kid, right? So I got raised in poverty and abuse and negative relationships. So what did I do when I grew up? I created poverty and I created negative relationships, right? And that type of a wound, it's such a cultural taboo that there's not a space to talk about that and the impacts, and then what do we do and where do we go from there? So,
so come on back over here. You got me feeling kind of. I was saying I wanted to do it right, but I think that's important, man.
and everybody in this circle is a wounded healer and also a servant leader, right? So when we see a gap in something that's needed, it's not just us. So that's where a tremendous opportunity is to create and be of service to other people like us.
I would say it was dope talking to y'all, like learning the different angles of, because I was kind of like skirmish about that title Killer, but listening to all of the different facets and challenges of it, you know, I really appreciate it. For me, I go back to South Carolina and go back into the Department of Juvenile Justice and work with these young people. This is what I want to take back, right? Like this, I want to take that.
Same boat, man. A lot of preconceived notions we have about people. I might look at you a certain way, you, and never would have had a clue that there's a commonality or something we can all relate on and learn from.
It's not every day you get to meet someone that's taken a life, or, you know, and for me, it's made me feel alone at times and not be able to be understood by people because of the emotions and stuff that we have to go through.
Send it to everybody.
All right, appreciate you.
That was a really deep video, man. For me, some videos to me just hit harder, for a certain month. That to me, that video just hit differently, it was real. I just felt real, This channel isn't really about sad things or it's more so reaction channel, funny things, football, music, random. But that was a really good video, really good video. Yeah, man, I appreciate y'all tuning in, y'all. Hope y'all having a great day. God bless y'all.